one. Yo, hey everybody. Thank you for coming back for our second sort of special episode of Tokyo House Party, this Tokyo House Party cross Saturday AM brunch episode. We have some really amazing creators to bring into the party room today and hope you can enjoy. But before we get into that, let's talk about any updates that we might have for Tokyo House Party. What's going on, Sarah?
Well, we have a lot of, I feel like all the things that we have to update you on are things that are coming up soon, and just to kind of keep you jazzed about everything on the horizon. But today's already so cool, so I don't really want to, sidestep. But definitely, if you're not already signed up for our newsletter, you should definitely jump into the website, tokyohouseparty.org, and drop your email address in there. And you can also donate on there. I kind of want to make a shout out to that too. We, of course, are free and open to everyone, and this is how we always want to be. But anyone who has the capacity to donate, that definitely helps us create all these programs and also helps the Japanese Arts Foundation, who hosts us.
I think, yeah, that pretty much nailed everything. So I don't have any other additional updates to add on to that, other than what we were going to talk about today. For those of us who joined last month, we had a really cool episode again with Saturday AM, where we specifically were talking about representation in manga and just creating new contemporary manga for the wide, diverse audience of readers that we have today. We are continuing that special episode with more creators from Saturday AM just to talk about the content that they're putting out and their relationship to manga specifically. So, without further ado, I absolutely want to bring in all of our very cool guests. I think we are updating. There it is. So now we have White Manga, we have Jay Oden, and we have Raymond Brown, all of which who are creators from Mangaka, creators for Saturday AM, excuse me. And make sure to unmute y'all's mics because you're here now.
You're here now.
But all of which who are creators, and I'm going to stop talking so I can let each of y'all share what it is you're working on. White, since you're right next to me in my Twitch layout, you want to start things off?
Actually, Derek, I wonder if someone here, just in case someone didn't catch the time before last where you all joined us before, what is Saturday AM, and just kind of get everyone grounded as to what, maybe Derek or Raymond, I don't know who wants to kind of explain what's Saturday AM. What are you guys a part of?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. So I'm Odunze, aka White Manga, creator of Apple Black, publishing serialized Saturday AM. Saturday AM, we are the world's most diverse digital manga anthology for shonen manga. Overall, it's My Footprint Entertainment LLC. We're publishers of all the diverse manga anthologies, from shonen with Saturday AM, seinen with Saturday PM, and josei with Brunch, which is a little more friendly to LGBT and female-friendly content. Not that the others aren't, but Brunch is more of a home for that. And simply put, that's what we are. But we try to champion diversity and try to expand anime, manga specifically, to more ideas, more people, make it more inclusive and representative with the characters, the creators, staff, everything. And just kind of broaden everybody's idea of what manga truly is, and have it not be just Japanese. Not that that's bad, but just expanding it.
Right.
And so we have our app that features our issues, the magazine issues. They're all digital. We have a physical one coming out. That's called Super Saturday, and that should be coming out towards the end of this year. So we're really excited for that. It would include our crossover event, where we have all our characters from the core series of Saturday AM coming together to battle one specific evil. Similar, think of it like our Infinity Wars, which I think is really rare in this kind of space where creators own all their content. We're happy and honored that it's also sponsored by Clip Studio Paint.
Oh, cool.
Japanese company Celsius. So we're looking forward to that, and that'll be a physical magazine. Looking to be in stores this year. Hopefully, the world doesn't get crazier as we
Yeah. Right. Well, at least in like this this strange digital space, we can hopefully
Yeah.
continue to push out, content, so long as that doesn't get stifled in some sort of strange way. And
I
um,
honestly, 2020, I won't be surprised. They're like aliens drop. I'll be like, oh, okay.
that's
Yeah.
the one thing that I keep telling people. I'm like, I'm honestly, it can continue. It can, if it unfortunately continues its descent, I will not be surprised if aliens just, reveal themselves in a Twilight
It, it,
Zone
it makes
spectacle.
at
Yeah,
that point it makes sense. Like we give them parking, we give them everything. It's cool.
yeah,
Uh, so we have that, and luckily, like you said, we do have digital content primarily with Saturday AM, and we have over 120 issues of Saturday AM out now. You can get the latest 3 issues of Saturday AM for free on our app, Saturday AM as well. Available iOS and Android. Saturday PM, the same name. It's also on there. But you would need a subscription. The
hmm
latest issue of Brunch is free. Issue 0 is kind of like a preview issue. Get the feet wet for everybody. Everything is on the app, including stuff in our storefront. If you want to get acquainted with one of our series that are on there, if you want to start from the beginning, we have like retro packs where you have the early chapters kind of stacked together, almost like mini volumes.
Okay.
And so we have digital mini volumes of say 2 to 3 chapters in one pack, all on the app. But we also have physical copies of like full on volumes with
Oh,
like
cool.
you know enough like typical tankobons that you find in Japan
Yeah.
with a lot of chapters, way more like over 6, 7, 8. And this is Apple Black, my series, Volume 1, Volume 2. We did Jay Oden's one shots. Jay will be able to speak on that a little bit here. Cool
Nice.
stuff there. Titan King, Bully Eater, Saigami, everything. So we have physical copies, digital stuff, and we're just continuing to grow the brand, and we're chilling right now. Hopefully, Raymond, Jay can add anything if I missed anything.
Yeah, please let the
Uh,
introductions continue. Take it over.
yeah, I guess I'll jump in. I'm Raymond Brown, creator of Bullet Eater. One of the co-founders. Been with the company since day one. Um,
Wow.
Seen a lot of cool stuff happen, a lot of growth, and
Yeah.
everything. White said is spot on. Inside the app, we do make it really easy for you. If you download the app, you can actually we actually have a starter's guide that gives you a nice preview, just to kind of really quick, maybe I think maybe 10 pages, just tell you about what Saturday AM is, the different magazines that we have,
hmm
and the various series. Has a lot of the core series information about the main characters, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
definitely check it out. Definitely.
Right on.
Yeah, and my name is Jay Oden. I'm the creator of Hammer. I joined Saturday AM back in 2017, I believe, towards the end of 2017, and it's just been awesome ever since I joined. We've gotten bigger and bigger every year. I've learned a lot more about the company, obviously being inside of it. So I'm just
Yeah.
infinitely impressed by everything that we've done so far, and everything that we have planned. It's been a dream come true. So yeah. Also, when it comes to 2020 being bad, I heard that maybe there's somebody going back in time, and every time they try to fix something, it gets worse. That's why we had the anti dust storm.
Yeah.
All this other stuff. So.
Throwing you trunks.
Yeah,
So we're dealing with the aftermath of somebody else's time travel.
it just keeps on changing. Man.
Yeah. That makes a really good premise for like a game or movie or anime or something like that. Everybody else just like, I don't know, you're interacting with something and it just zaps out of your hand. Maybe it turns into an apple. You're like, God dang it.
We need to have a writer's room for that. We need to.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Tomato
So
Jordan.
with Raymond, with Saturday AM launching and you being a part of it from the beginning, did your series launch with the beginning of Saturday AM, or were there a few firsts that came with the publisher?
Yeah. I did have the pleasure of having my series run in the very first issue.
Mhm.
White was there as well too with
Word.
Apple Black. Let's see who was there. We had
Andrea was there.
we had Wally Wynn that did a comic called Comatose, which was kind of it was probably more seinen than shonen than anything, but it was it was still cool.
Word.
But yeah, we started issue 1. I believe We had another series in there called Pose Bots.
World of Ghosts.
Was Ghost in there? Ghost was in there. Yeah, Ghost was in there.
Yeah, Ghost was in there.
Yeah.
So Frederick kind of authors massively multiplayer World of Ghosts. You can think of it like a Yu-Gi-Oh,
Okay.
Pokemon type series, but it's mostly video game characters coming to life and
Yeah.
battling. And is the lead character, and Neil Ray is, I believe, again with championing diversity, is the Neil Ray is supposed to be the first Indian American type lead specifically for shonen manga, and so you
Mhm.
had that. He also does Clock Striker, which came out later on, I think, to like issue 2024, which has shonen mangas, specifically shonen, black female lead with Clock Striker,
Cool.
which is kind of like a shonen. The way you have your One Piece has its pirates, Naruto has its ninjas.
Yeah.
So Clock Striker is based on engineers and kind of redefining what that means. And so you have this girl who's like handicapped and a black female trying to be a smith in that world, and women aren't traditionally smiths, especially young black girls and stuff like that. So kind of you know stuff you can hear in real life happening,
Mm.
but taking that extra step and then adding shonen elements to it to really make it pop. Again, expanding what shonen can be beyond what we get mostly in the mainstream.
Yeah.
So massively multiplayer World of Ghost, Apple Black, Wally Wentz Comatose, Raymond's Bully Eater, and then Post Bots were what started, but not not too long after like issue 4, we had Saigami from Andrea Doni pop in, and a lot of other series have kind of joined in as from issue 1 to like issue 121, like a couple days ago.
Wow. Yeah. That's what's up. Oh yeah, and to the viewers at home, if you're not already downloading the Saturday AM app, I highly encourage it. I've subscribed to this app for a minute now, and I love like tuning into it. It's like it being a testament to the whole point of Saturday AM. Just where you'd normally have that thick Shonen Jump magazine and getting to flip through all the new chapters of everything like that. So doing that on an iPad or device preference is real convenient and real fun. That
I
was
think I love that you have the physical copies, though. I think
yeah.
that's so great. Like, there's nothing like holding like a copy and being able to read it yourself too. I know I like the scans and all too, but I like the physical version.
Yeah, so Super Saturday's coming. It'll be for you.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, like, with Saturday AM from then to now, and this can be just a huge back and forth. I just want to hear from everybody on this one. But like, what has been your experience being a mangaka from beginning to now, and getting to tell a story, be it your story, somebody else's story, or a combination of all these things. How's that all been for y'all?
Jay, you want to take this?
Yeah. So I I originally started drawing Hammer. Just for myself. I was drawing it and posting it on Webtoons and Taptastic, and with those services, it was. I mean, I had complete control over it, but I mean,
Hmm.
Webtoons and Taptastic is a gigantic sea of webcomics.
Right.
It's really difficult to stand out and have people actually just look at you and say, "Wow, I really like this." And all of the people that did like my stuff, I would get a lot of good comments here and there, but it wasn't really going anywhere. Luckily, I was able to stand out enough for Saturday AM. They got in touch with me, and they really liked everything I was doing. So I started doing everything with them, and the entire experience has been like I don't know, it's kind of surreal because like I've always wanted to become a comic book
Yeah.
artist. I actually my very first series was published with Anime Press, and I had already finished the book by that time, so it wasn't like a serial or anything. And after that, I started working with another on another book called Miles Away with this actor named Anthony Montgomery. And because of all of that, I started working on a book for Oni Press that's coming out next year. And all of these experiences were basically just I would draw it in my own home. I would just make it look as pretty as possible, and then we would ship it off, and it would come out eventually. But when
Yeah.
it comes to Saturday AM, the actual experience of being a mangaka. Actually having a serial. You're trying to make this main character, stand out. Do really cool things. Have awesome scenes. Constantly, come back and have people like root for your character in whatever situation they're in. It
Yeah.
was I mean, I always knew what I wanted to do, and I always kind of had like some type of grasp on like how to do it because I've been drawing comics for so long. But actually putting it into practice, was for me very fun. It was it takes some time getting used to, mainly because time management. You gotta be able to know exactly how many pages you need to finish up at a certain point in time. You need to have your deadlines. Definitely, you need to have everything done so that way you can get everything situated, so that way the issue can come out on time. So all of that, I would say, was my biggest challenge. But I mean, I love drawing, and it's like so it wasn't necessarily too much of a challenge for me. But yeah, it's just it's a dream come true.
Yeah.
I've always wanted
Yeah.
to become a mangaka and draw my own series, and I'm just really happy that I can actually finally do that. So.
Word. White Raymond. What about y'all?
What?
So obviously I can relate to a lot of what Jay just dropped, and so creating drawing in general, I've always wanted to draw. I always knew I'd do it in some way, even if I wasn't in this field, I'd do it as a hobby. It's just there. It wouldn't have felt right for me not doing something with it, and so I tried to create. I always knew I wanted to create comics, what is Western stuff, or manga type, Japanese type style
Hmm.
comics with that aesthetic. And I really got into the usual suspects, One Piece, Bleach, Naruto, and stuff like that. And they influenced me to kind of go down that realm and style of storytelling. Because I really like the idea of somebody kind of telling this long story, in some cases not necessarily long, but just interesting, single, satisfying story that doesn't get too complicated with like a bajillion other versions
Yeah.
like we'd see in the West. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Sometimes you can follow one and it'll be fine. But I always like the idea of one person kind of like at the top of it, just kind of in control of what's going on. And then I could draw, and I just saw that, as a way to kind of tell stories. I always love to tell stories, and I wanted to do something that I would be able to incorporate new cultures that weren't seen as much in anime and manga. Um, Add some political influences, cultural influences. Me being Nigerian, born in Nigeria, putting some of that in there, and other cultures that I found interesting, like
Hmm.
Japanese culture with manga and list goes on. So I always like to tell stories and see how people kind of connect with them. It's always cool to have people shoot you notes one after they finish reading the chapter, or they just finish reading the volume, and you kind of you had some success in making them feel how you wanted them to feel. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, come on, my cat.
Love
Yeah.
it. Cat needs a spotlight too. I imagine that they're most likely your assistant in getting direct feedback on how a
No,
page looks.
it's a lazy cat. It always messes up the joint. Doesn't draw fast enough.
That cat's not messing up. That cat's trying to help you. They come in with the paw. And
Yeah,
Maybe
maybe I'm the one messing up the
Spotlight.
maybe I'm the problem. But so it's always cool to kind of tell a story and have everything kind of fall into place, and you get the feedback from people. And maybe at the end of the volume, there is a rush from it,
Hmm.
right? And so relating with what Jay said, it is a dream come true, but there is more to do. There is a lot
Yeah.
more to do. There's a lot more. There are certain aspects of creating comics that are not as rewarding, especially in the beginning when you're just starting out trying to build an audience. Um, so it takes time. It takes a lot of work. Taking advantage of the digital age, especially doing YouTube. Now there's
Yep.
TikTok. Like, oh my god, now I
Yeah.
got to do TikTok too.
No, you
Right.
don't. You just don't have to do it.
So it's like there's a lot going on, and
Yep.
there are more things that we want to accomplish. I'm a fan of storytelling as a whole, and so it's some cases less so to do with the medium. Manga just made sense at the time
Yep.
to was created by myself, and the part of what makes manga is also the production of how it's it's quick and people care more about a good story versus say the quality. So
Totally.
here in the West, you see a comic and it'll be like a lot of money, but it's like 30 pages. But with manga, same amount, but like times 10. You
Wow.
know,
Okay. Yeah.
so it's kind of part of it where they care less about quality of let's say the print or the paper and stuff like that, and more about the story itself. And that's why you can see it in black and white or grayscale. Not everything's going to be in color because that will increase the pricing. And so just a lot of things about manga that just made sense. But obviously, we want to venture into animation, video games, and we have some toys that are coming out that I'm sure you guys have seen some prototypes. So with Saturday AM, it's also been a dream come true, not to just be part of it, but to be part of it at the start,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? To be one of the founders. It's really rewarding, and it's an honor to do that because to see what it's become today is it's amazing. So there are a lot of aspects, and I'm sure we'll kind of touch on them as we go on. Just telling your story, having fun, getting some headaches sometimes, just some fun.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
Great.
overall, it's fun, especially like coming up with ideas and writing them down and just seeing it go from that stage to its final stage and having people interact with it the way you plan for them to interact with it.
Right on.
It's really really cool.
I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you all because we didn't get to ask this directly so much with your other halves last in our last episode, but I'm curious. I feel like I'm making assumptions that you all might define yourselves as storytellers in some way. But what is it about, or what has it been about Japanese storytelling or Japanese aesthetics that really influenced your style of storytelling? Or what was it about Japan or anime and manga and this kind of, I guess, cultural icon that really influenced all of you? And I know you just kind of touched on it a minute ago, and that you love the in-depth storytelling and
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm so curious.
I do like so I don't know. It just felt very different from the Western stuff. Some of the Western stuff it's really cool, especially when when it's transitioning into like film or TV. Like
Mhm.
it's really really good. But the cartoons they're also great, but some of them might treat me too much like a kid,
Mm,
and some of the stories from Japan are again they don't get me wrong, Western stuff is they both have like their pros and cons, but there are certain elements of the pacing in manga, the way they kind of really take you on the journey with the character and what they're thinking, and how everything, how the world works, the world building,
yeah,
even down to like battles, and you see a lot of unpredictability in the way some of the battles are happening. I mean, just looking at the usual suspects and how their stories have been told. It's just interesting and a little more unique in the way the stories are being told versus Western. But again, like I said, it has pros and cons. And uh, part of part of the part of the part of the magic with the Japanese stuff is I think the storytelling kind of pulled me to that, and also being able to, like I said, it's a one man army usually. With Western stuff, is it's like a huge team in some cases.
ah,
One person is doing this one too. So for me, it just made sense to start that way. It was easier for me to learn it as well, to kind of go into that field. Digital age was kind of growing at the time with YouTube, and I was learning a lot. So it's like what 2009. I learned everything I know about making comics online.
mm,
Yeah.
I did go. I went to UTA here, University of Texas at Arlington. I was a computer science minor and a fine art major at the end. It was switched in the beginning, but I switched it afterwards. And then I did my master's here, and so I learned a lot. But when it comes to making comics, I kind of did that on my own, and
mhm,
thankfully the internet was there. YouTube videos or online resources, other artists that I admired, they were around to help with that. And just making manga was just like the easiest path for me to do it, and it helped that I was influenced by, again, most of those big shonen series,
Yep.
and I wanted to tell my story in that format anyways. So, and that's kind of how I just landed there. But obviously, there are series in there that I just love, and there are a lot of elements to those series that I prefer to the Western stuff. For the Western stuff, I enjoy the comics and everything, but I mostly enjoy like the film adaptations because they're so linear. You don't have to like read like 50 versions of Wolverine. You have one Wolverine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Ray, I want to hear the same thing from you as far as like, I know we touched on a lot of things, but just what your experience has been so far. And also Sarah's question, if you don't mind reiterating what you had asked as well.
Yeah, to Sarah's question, I mean, for me, it was continuity because I grew up in reading '90s comics. Don't judge me. Uh,
No.
That's where I started too.
Dude, I mean, they were the best, man. I don't. Who cares about story, dude? We all only thing we care about is zippers and pouches, man. That's all that matters.
Spider-Man wasn't up to much other than being like nerdy and there's like crime happening a block away. So
That's right.
yeah.
So, but yeah, that was one of the things. It was a couple of things about anime in particular. Manga, I didn't really get caught up with manga till probably till later, till much later. But anime, I found that when I was probably 12 or 13 years old, and what I was used to was like I grew up watching cartoons like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Transformers, Street Shark, stuff like that, where it was pretty much. I mean, I didn't know it as a kid, but it was to White's point. It treated me like a kid. They'd have a problem. That problem would conveniently get solved in within 30 minutes, and then they went on to the next one, and nothing carried over. Like none of the consequences from the last episode carried over to the
Hmm.
following episode. So when I saw anime and I saw that like if somebody died or took an L like in the issue before, it meant something in the next issue. So or
Yeah.
the next episode. So that blew my mind. And then also I call it the Vegeta effect because if anybody watched the old '90s cartoons, the villain was the villain and that was it. Like they didn't need a reason to be a villain; they were just a villain. So,
Yeah.
so it blew my mind when I saw I remember watching Dragon Ball for the first time and seeing how evil Vegeta was, and then looking at like in a magazine where we were behind by Japan standards, so I would see a whole bunch of artwork and stuff like that with Vegeta and Goku like hanging out, and I'm
Oh,
like,
right.
what is this? And it just threw me off, and then I started investigating, and that happened. It's kind of tropey now for the most part, but back then it was just totally mind blowing the fact that someone could be such a despicable villain and then turn around and actually become one of the good guys, and
Hmm.
it worked. It wasn't like some kind of cheesy, it worked. So
Yeah.
those kind of things that really that's what made me that's what made me enjoy kind of the manga / anime type of storytelling.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm really loving all of your responses to this question. It's really insightful, and I feel like I know exactly what you're all talking about. It's super cool.
Yeah, definitely. So Raconius Live said the Vegeta effect, trademark that.
I will.
Um,
Yeah.
and I want to see that we had some people in the audience that were asking some questions that I definitely want to bring into the conversation. JR Sketcher said, when you all learned how to draw, did you use a lot of real life references as opposed to online references or tutorials?
When I was starting, actually, I don't know if it hurt me in the, at least for the time. I didn't use that much real life reference. I kind of just learned. I picked a few series that I read, right, and I just studied them,
Hmm.
and I try to put myself in the shoes of those creators and try to figure out why they were making the decisions that they were making from an artistic standpoint and from a storytelling standpoint. It's just the writing, and I try to learn as much as I can. And I just started, right? And
Yeah.
when you start, you're going to have some hiccups, but the more you work on it, the practice over time, you're just going to keep getting better and better and better. So when I first started putting my stuff out, just putting comics out online, and this is like 2010, They looked very cheesy. I was very naive about a couple things. I wasn't really comfortable or telling stories the way I'd like, at least compared to now. It looked very. I used to get a lot of comments like this was 60% of my comments were, oh, you know, it looks kind of cool, but it looks very bleach. It looks very bleach. So bleach had a strong influence, especially in my early days. Not so much now because I've kind of diversified where I draw influence from and inspiration.
Yeah.
But in the early days, and also beyond just manga, there are other things that have influenced my work, like film. And, I'm really big on certain directors and certain types of film. I'm a big plot twist head. A good plot twist. I don't care if the whole movie was trash. If you shock me in the end, shock me in a good way at the end, I'm like, all right, I give you.
Yeah.
So I did that, and over time, my own, I guess, inner style, if we want to use that, kind of slowly would come out. And you know, I don't get those kind of comments anymore. But when I first started, they were there, and it was fine as long as you kind of grow out of it and kind of do your own thing.
Yeah.
So that's just how I learned. But eventually, I did start to. I took like a life drawing class in college, which I think helped. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you don't know. Maybe when you're drawing drawing after, and you start to do some things that you picked up on the live drawing class. So I'd say they have influenced my stuff to a degree, right?
Yeah.
I think it's made my style a little bit more realistic because if you're only referencing other people's styles, you're kind of it's almost like knowing the rules before you can break them.
Yep.
And so it's
Mhm.
always best to start there. So I would recommend actually going live first, but I also would recommend looking at how people do break the realistic approach and like break it into styles and getting how do you approach line work, how do you approach moods, how do you approach color, because all those things take a long time to learn, and if you just give yourself time and you're really trying to put yourself in the shoes of those creators,
Mhm.
and you're also trying to do something unique that you like and you're having fun doing it, over time it'll just slowly show.
Yeah. Uh, Jay, I want to throw the same question at you. Like, and while we're on the subject of references, same thing for inspiration. What references have worked for you in the past, and what inspirations did you draw from early on before having something like Hammer?
Yeah. So when it comes to references, I actually sorry, my dog is right here.
It's okay.
uh,
We're pet friendly. I have a dog that
yeah.
I don't have
is
anybody.
usually staring at me. Yeah.
I'm
I
so
know
lucky.
she's
I don't
over
have
there.
anybody.
You said you don't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
anybody.
I don't have anybody.
Everybody has a pet.
So got kids.
When it comes to references, I when I was in high school, I actually was in sounds and art, and one of my teachers told me that if you draw from life, what you're doing is essentially creating a database in your head of like, this is what that looks like, this is what this looks like,
Mhm.
and the more you do that, then you can just draw from your memory. And as you continuously draw, eventually you'll be able to have your own style that'll pop up, but you'll be able to reference your memory on how to draw this one certain thing. And
Yeah.
then, if your style is already there, then you can draw that thing as detailed as possible, but in your style. So let's say a tree or carpets or grass or whatever the case may be. So I
Yeah.
mean that's usually what happens for me when it comes to reference. I remember also in college I took a life drawing class, and that was mainly just figures and stuff. But that's what I did for most of my reference training, I guess. Nowadays if I have like if I really want to draw like a car or a plane or a specific item, then that's when I'll look up a reference and try to draw from there. But usually at this point I just draw from memory or just make it up on the spot.
Right.
And
Right.
when it comes to references, Akira Toriyama, obviously Dragon Ball Z,
Yeah. Yes.
One Piece for sure, Naruto, like all the big shonen stories were always you know a huge influence for me. But I really loved reading Invincible as well. I think that's on my shelf. A bunch of different cartoons that would pop up, like I really liked Adventure Time. It wasn't detailed or anything, but the way that they would, push some of the the poses and like how their noodle arms were and like
Mhm.
some other random stuff. I really liked that aspect of like the cartoon.
Yep.
And I thought that it would be cool if I could somehow like translate that inside of my own style, but like still keep it like manga esque and like
Yeah.
really shonen-y.
Yeah. There's
I
no
also
there's no
really like
bones in there.
yeah. I also really liked Bruce Timm as well because he was the one that did the entire DC universe back in the '90s with Batman and Justice League and all that. So I kind of just took all those references and kind of just like meshed them together and here I am. But yeah,
Word. Yeah. Raymond, do you have anything to add to that as far as like, things that have helped you along the way, inspirations that have really put things together for you?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of my influences were mostly video game related. I love Street Fighter. Everything that has Capcom's logo on it, I'm in love.
Hmm.
So, if you're ever reading my comics, it's going to have muscles in it, lots and lots of
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
it is. But I mean, yeah, I don't think I can add anything to what White and Jay said. Draw for reference is a funny thing. At least for me, is that like it's if you can draw it a lot more accurately if you kind of know how it works. Like if you know for a hand, for example,
Yeah.
if you understand how a hand works, then you may need to use reference a couple of times, but eventually you'll understand how a hand works and what it can and can't do. So they'll help you, to draw a hand next time without having a reference. And I find that with most things, like if you know how the human body works, if you know how muscles work together and stuff like that. As long as you have that general science of how it works, like to White's point, if you know the rules, an arm can't bend, all the way up that way,
Right.
then you can break the rules because you know what the rules are versus you just kind of, just willy nilly drawing anything you want. So
It's really interesting. I really like that reference in itself. There's so where we all live here in Chicago, the place that we kind of operate out of also offers Japanese tea ceremony classes. And the sensei for that whole program, people ask about how rigid things are in Japan and all these rules and things like this. And it's kind of just what you're saying in this really lovely way where he says that, when you know all the rules, you're just free just to like express and be rather than stressing out all the time if it's going to be right or if this is looking right. So when you understand the mechanics of something to begin with, then you're just allowed to just be yourself because you have the rules, which is such a counterintuitive way of thinking about things. But this is like sounding so similar to what you all are talking about right now, and I really like it.
at the end of the day, just draw something cool.
Mm-hmm.
If it looks cool and the anatomy's a little off, it looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can have fun with that. Yeah, I say like using reference. Most times you're also studying in real time, so you're using reference so you don't have to anymore.
That's right.
Definitely.
And the only times, like Jay said, unless it's like really really complicated, and you absolutely never drawn it before, then maybe you can pull up reference and stuff like that. But there are some cases where I guess we're creators and we're building our own worlds, right? If I can't remember how to draw a plane, and I know my world is kind of weird already. I can break the rules completely. And you know what? My planes look like freaking cheer, so I'm gonna draw a cheer, and somehow it's a plane. Take it or leave it.
I love it.
Yeah.
You can get away with that.
Yeah. I mean, we get away with that already when, technically none of our anime characters that we watch or admire are anatomically correct when when you stare at their chins or their eyeballs and stuff like that, And there's always that foundational drawing rule of, if you draw a plain smiley face, it's the head, the mind that fills in all of those details. And so, yeah, as long as you got the suggestion of a plane, the readers are they'll connect the dots for you.
People breaking rules. Have you seen Yu-Gi-Oh's hair? Makes
Yeah. Yeah.
Defies logic.
I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a weapon.
Well, it's got to be like a backup weapon.
They want to cut it orange or something.
Yeah, but you just like want to use one of his spikes as a juicer. That's what you could do.
I just want to use his bangs to just cut my pancakes in.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not hairspray.
Yeah, 100%. You walk into a room and like you say, point out the main characters. Like,
Yeah.
That's right. Exactly.
The two comments I have about that is one, I'm baffled by any idea of how he might sleep any Yu-Gi-Oh character. without like waking up and just having punctured their pillow multiple times. And then the other thing is, I have a close friend of mine, that is a very popular Yu-Gi-Oh cosplayer back in those days, and was widely known for creating successfully these gravity-defying wigs. So yeah, if you guys are fans of Melinda Chan out there, that they you look up their Yu-Gi-Oh cosplays and you'd swear that the person like walked right out of the page.
Well, I can actually give a little feedback on this. I hope it's not TMI or what have you, but when I was in high school, I dated a guy that had Liberty spikes, right? So like a bit just like that, yeah. And when he would go to sleep, he'd wake up looking a lot like, and I'm going to make a Bleach reference here because I can now, what we're talking about. And I can't think of his name right now, but the guy that has like, his chest is all out, he's got scars, he's super rugged. What's his name? The bells on his hair?
Kenpachi.
Kapachi, yeah.
Yes, his hair looked like that, and it was done with egg whites.
Oh,
That's how it stays.
So you let the egg whites dry?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
that's wild. We have products for that. Don't put food in there.
Like, this is aging me. There were no products like this yet.
This is true.
This-
Yeah. I want to acknowledge some of the other viewers here. We have some cool people that have been hanging out with us.
Questions, yeah.
So, Young Wavy, the artist 17, says, "I'm watching this while working on some cool ass Hammer fan art." So, shout outs to Hammer, and thank you for sharing that with us. We absolutely, share it with us if you can, Young the Wavy. But let's see, what else do we have here? Jared Sketcher commented, said they're allowing the artists the chance to have their own character appear in Saturday Wars. I think that's so cool. Commenting on some earlier stuff that we had spoke about. We'll come back to it as far as like tips and things to Young Wavy and some other people, but they were asking things like, how do you do perspective and cliffhangers and, things like narrative design and stuff like that. But Jared Sketcher asks, do you think romance? Oh, what's that?
They want to know about romance. They want
Romance.
to know where your romance is to everyone here.
Yeah, no, please loft that question out to us. Where was that?
It was they want to know when is romance making its way into any of your work, and if you're going to switch genres at all and incorporate a little romance. This was the question.
I have some romance coming, and yeah. I won't give it away, but like one of my kind of pet peeves with anime manga is when like the main character is like too cool for girls.
Right. Right.
So when I created a style of the main character, Bullet Eater, I really wanted to make him as close to a real teenager, not too much a real teenager. I still got to keep it PG, but I want to make him as close to a real teenager as possible. So he's interested in girls for sure. He hits on girls. He gets rejected, all that good stuff. So yeah, he will have his moment to shine in the next coming chapters, and it'll be appearing again in our winter season. So we'll be in the winter season of this year.
So like what he's saying is with the season, it's kind of like we started a new thing this year where the issues are already broken down into quarters, right? PM comes out quarterly, Brunch comes out quarterly, but Saturday AM right now is coming out monthly, but we are slowly trying to move back to the once every two weeks. But every quarter we'll have the same series running in every issue back to back, and that kind of makes it easier for our readers to follow. So when he says he's coming back in the winter, so he's going to be in all the issues for the winter. And that's kind of like how we've broken it down. Each season has a set of series within it, and the stories kind of just go back to back for that season.
Oh, that's cool. I dig that. That does it. Do you ever end up finding yourselves kind of the stories that you're telling during the season almost match the vibe of the season? Maybe for a given region, maybe a manga during the fall feels a little melancholic in a way, or something like that.
It just started, so people probably go that meta with it. I think the key thing is kind of just being able to start at a certain point within that season, and leave people in a satisfying way by the end of the season, regardless of how many issues are in that season. So with and that's for AM, but with PM, it's already quarterly, one issue per season, I guess. But those are they're more likely to show up back to back anyways.
Hmm.
So more like they have more time, and it's also to keep things flexible for the creators as well.
Cool. Also, during the summer, you just have to make all of them just like the beach episode,
Yeah,
consistently, no matter what the narrative is going on.
everybody loves the beach. Somehow
Yeah.
the villains are at the beach. Everybody's
Everybody's at the beach for some reason.
Well,
They're the opposing volleyball team.
Yeah.
everybody's at the beach. I don't know
It's
what
like it's like in the last chapter you have a character that just gets like punched through a wall and it says to be continued. And the next chapter he like smashes into a beach.
So right after they smash the wall, somebody's hitting the volleyball.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, speaking of summer, we are entering. We kicked off our event, Summer of Manga,
Yeah.
which is basically our short story event that we do every year. This is the fifth year, I believe, that we've done it so far. We've got a ton of creators that are still with us today. I can't name them all just because it's been a lot.
Hmm.
But a matter of fact, the last issue, 121, that had Apple Black in it, White, and Jay. Jay was in there as well too. But we also had our first summer manga title, a title called Bloodstained Snow, by a young lady that goes by Genji. She lives in Japan, but she's from Germany. I
Yeah,
believe.
she's German.
Word.
Germany, yeah. So definitely check it out. You can see it in the app, and anybody who's aspiring to have their series in Saturday in one day. We have events like this all throughout the entire year, some similar to summer manga. So definitely, if there's something that you want to do, you want to get inside of Saturday somehow with a story, summer manga is definitely the way to go. And subscribe so that way you can always know when the next event's coming and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I got there.
is basically our kind of like where people have like contest entries.
Mhm.
And they have pitches, and then we also kind of provide editorial assistance where we can for them to then create the content for the pitches that we like, for them to then create the content, and then they run during the summer. So this issue's first summer manga entry is The Bloodstained Snow by Genji. You can read it. A lot of pages. Everybody really loved it, and it also does well in our social media. You can follow us on Saturday_AM and Saturday, and then _Saturday PM. But we all have each magazine has their Instagram handle and Twitter and all that, and we also have our YouTube page as well for Saturday AM and
Yeah.
White Manga and everything. Jay as well, and everything kind of connected to what we do. So yeah, some of manga is a big one that we do to find creators. It kind of helps us cut through the clutter of sea of a bunch of artists that are out there, and it kind of makes it easiest for us to connect to them because these will be people who also want to connect with us. March Art Madness is another contest that we do every March, where people it's kind of like a tournament where like everybody applies and registers, and then we identify the creators that we want to have in the tournament. And it's almost like an art World Cup.
Okay.
And then the winner each round, there's like almost like a artist of the round that gets a couple prizes. The winner gets a major prize, usually like an iPad, Apple Pencil. This year we also, along with that, we also gave like some professional deals for them to illustrate certain things for some companies. So we try to do big things with March Up Madness, Summer of Manga, and the list goes on. So we're active throughout the year, and you would be able to keep up to date with all this stuff if you followed our social media.
Word. Yeah. Go do that if you aren't doing it already. I want to highlight a couple more comments from our chat here. Back to when we were talking about anime proportions, Raconius Live says, whoa. You saying people don't have a chin that can pop a balloon. I think it's LOS03 says chins be sharp as hell. So it's true. There's some deadly chins out there in anime.
We're talking about romance. You had like Rurouni Kenshin. If anybody was making out anybody, it doesn't make any sense how their noses don't make each other bleed.
They had some sharp noses and
Poke eye with that thing.
yeah, definitely.
Sharp nose.
I wanted to ask one more question before we break away, just for a short break here. But Zafe Illustrations asks, do you creators have your respective stories planned out until the end/finale?
So I'll take this. I do. When I came up with Hammer, I wrote down like everything that I wanted to have happen, so that way I could plan out each arc. I could plan out character designs for certain characters.
Hmm.
But since I've done that, I still go back and change like minute things to
Yeah,
make it flow a little bit better.
of course.
Make it maybe for this particular issue, I want to change this so that way this can be a lot better, like more entertaining. Honestly though, there's also obviously other ways you can write a story. I mean, I feel like there's a certain thing called a concept, and then there's a storyline. So a concept is something like Dragon Ball, where anything can happen in the entire series as long as there are Dragon Balls. So
Right.
it's a story about Goku going on adventures looking for the Dragon Balls. But then there's also Cell that pops up eventually. There's Boo, like that has nothing to do with Dragon Balls, but it's a part of Dragon Ball Z because that's the concept. Whereas the storyline is something like Death Note, where you can't really add anything to it. Light Yagami is going to kill people and try to become a god.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what the story is. So I mean, if you come up with a storyline, I feel like you should definitely plan it out. Know exactly where you're going with everything. So that way, not only can you have foreshadowing moments, you can make it as dense as possible, making it really really interesting for the reader. Create a mystery, make certain things just like pop and stand out. But if you come up with a concept, just make sure that the concept itself is like very strong, and you can add anything to it. Like another example of a concept would be like Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a superhero that got bit by a spider, but that's it. And
Yep.
now you can have anything happen as long as Spider-Man is inside that story. So I mean, it just kind of depends on like how you want to tell a story. I would say coming up with a concept is probably easier for a serialization because you can have however many stories, you can change whatever storyline you want. As long as it has something to do with that concept, you can do whatever you want. Whereas if you come up with a storyline, you got to stick to that. You got to make it, come out the way you want it to come out, so that way it, reads well. So
For sure.
Yeah, I'm with Jay. Just a little different in the way I view it is first to answer the question. I kind of know what happens from beginning to end, right? Every once in a while, I might change a couple of things that happen in between because maybe
Yeah.
I get a better idea. But then the end, I kind of have like three alternate endings. Some sadder than others. We'll see what happens.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
but as the further along I go, the less I actually know in detail.
Yeah.
So I know that on like a key point outline basis, I know where I'm going. I know what the end is going to look like. But I know even further what's going on like right now and maybe a couple chapters ahead. Like I know in decent detail what happens to like chapter 42, but I know what happens throughout the whole thing. But just the further down it is, the less defined it is.
Yep.
And also, the further down it is, the more subject to change things are. I can't change pages like stuff I've already done. That's done. It's settled.
It's
Moving
out
on. It's
there.
out there. But moving forward, I just the further out, the less I know. But I'm open to change. I'm open to improvement, and that's kind of how I view the whole thing. And then with the whole storyline and concept thing, I think Dragon Ball does have a storyline. It's just not as in detail or as very mainstream. Well, no, it is mainstream, but it's not as, how would I say?
Choose your word carefully.
Yeah. Tomorrow, you just see me in obituaries. It's complex, complex as a Death Note, like you just using
Right.
using the same examples.
Right.
So where they're both storylines, it's just that one storyline lends itself um, more of like an episodic feel, even like a Spider-Man, like you said, it lends it,
Absolutely.
or a Family Guy, or or like Raymond said with with what biker mice, for instance. The episodes like this, you don't need to watch you don't need to have seen the last episode to know what's happening in the next episode. I will say though that when they do have moments where they do a to be continued, where you do need to know what happened in the last episode, those are the best episodes.
Mhm.
Those are the best. Those are the most hyped. Those are. I'm just saying. And so manga kind of being connected that way kind of ties back into what kind of draws me more to that style of storytelling. And obviously, it's not just in manga. You see that in American television, TV, film. I'm a big fan of TV shows. And again, like I said, I'm a big twist person. So if you want to kind of have those kind of moments, you do need to know what happens in your series
Totally.
almost throughout. Because, like Jay said, you want to be able to kind of plan for that. You want to be able to foreshadow things. You want the moment where you drop whatever plot twist you have to be very satisfying, where people look at it and go, "Oh, okay, that's why this thing I didn't pay attention to happened, but like it didn't bother me too much. I just kept on reading. But now, oh yeah, that makes sense, and this makes sense. Oh, that foreshadowing. Oh, that's why he only talks to the kid. The kid sees ghosts. This that. Oh, yeah, Fight Club. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The ending of Fight Club blew my mind. Blew my mind. And maybe older, when being older, if I watched it now, maybe it wouldn't have blown my mind as much, but it was still really good. And as a kid, never exposed to that kind of stuff as much, destroyed me.
Right. Yeah.
Mr. Robot, Fight Club, Sixth Sense, and a series like that. Westworld season 1, specifically season 1.
How's it going?
Suspects.
Westworld season
Yep.
1. So there are a lot of good TV shows out there as well that kind of do the same thing. So you kind of need to know where you're headed, at least to a decent degree, so you can plan for it.
I really like that you're saying that because I feel like that ties back to what you were saying before about this kind of Japanese storytelling that you all love so much in terms of it seems like they're trusting people to be engaged more than just being so passive and trusting your readers and to kind of look for details and challenge them to think back on things they've already noticed you've kind of tattered in there. And I think we all really appreciate those things too. So I think we're on that same page.
Promise Neverland, Death Note, they kind of do that to a degree.
yeah.
Promise Neverland, without spoiling anything, the end kind of has something like that, and that's one of to me, that's probably one of the reasons why I think the villain of that won best villain at the anime something. And,
For Promise.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a great series.
He doesn't have any powers or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you kind of have to plan to make that happen, and so most, not all, most manga kind of do that, and most TV shows do that. At least the ones that do that, those are the ones I like.
Yeah. Raymond, what about you? What was I about to say here? Oh no, I like. How did I lose the question that we were asking? What was you were just talking about it?
I'm glad you lost it because I forgot it too.
It's about I think it was about your whole series or something like that.
Yeah. Do you know your ending? I was like, I was about to say it, and it was like, bye.
The short answer is no. But what I'll say is that like one thing I can say confidently about like all of my Saturday M brethren, including White and Jay and Eric, is that they have the thing on their mind is entertaining the readers. And I feel like once you have that on your mind, as far as making that you want to entertain the readers, everything else is just a style. Like as far as how you want to write it, whether you want to do a long form story or if you want to do, a quick comic strip that's just 4 panels, whatever. But if the end game is to make your readers feel something, then I feel like the style is just kind of, up to whatever the creator wants to do. As far as me, for me, I pretty much, of course, I had dreams of grandeur when I first started Bullet Eater. I wanted to do some kind of long, epic like series or whatever like that. But over the years, I just found that for one, once I became a part of Saturday M, I learned how to write for the medium that I'm creating for. Saturday M at the time, up until issue 100, we were bi-weekly, so we came out every 2 weeks.
Oh wow.
So, and shoot, those early issues, me and White, we were in all of them, just about. Good Lord. Literally, you didn't even have time to really enjoy your victory because you had another issue to do right by.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how we did it. That's crazy. But
That's
Yeah,
anyway,
astounding.
that was magic.
but but yeah, but over the years, I've I realized that I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to publish for anyone but Saturday AM at this point. So I've actually crafted my story to fit Saturday AM. So
Cool.
I don't go too far out with it. I think about the issue like White was explaining the seasons. I know I'm going to appear in 3 issues. And in those 3 issues, I want to end on a certain note that's satisfying, that kind of reintroduce you to the characters, because I do a lot of behind the scenes stuff Saturday M, so
Yeah.
I'm not as involved in doing comics as much as I used to be. So I'll kind of introduce the characters again, and then make sure I end on a note that that would be fun, because my main thing with my series is just I want you to have fun. I want you to go in there and have fun. It's not going to be any Death Note stuff. It's not going to be anything like or diabolical or anything. It's just going
Yeah.
to be straight up fun.
And they are fun. I absolutely want to validate each of y'all's series. Um, Again, for our viewers at home, because I've had the pleasure of reading each of these stories. I have a blast getting to know each of these characters. This entire 2020 has been immensely busy for me, and I have not caught up with them as of yet. But I'm looking forward to diving back in. Let's take a small break to our viewers at home. We're not going anywhere. Stay seated, or get up, have that water break, do whatever you got to do, because we'll be right back with more conversation. So see you soon. Let me switch things over. All right. Okay, we're back. Hope you're rested. We have another guest with us today. This one being a little bit more fuzzier than the rest of us.
Yeah, she hasn't made it for the last 2 episodes because she was at the dog beach, but here she is. This is Momo. Usually we open up with a Momo moment, but she was taking a to-do, so I grabbed her now. So she's still here, I promise. She's one of our mascots that doesn't show up anymore, but she's around.
Down in the, or it's on that side, down in the stream corner.
She's getting a little grumpy, though.
It's like, what am I doing up here?
Oh,
Over. Yeah, that's why my dog doesn't make any appearances, because if I pick him up, he's usually like, he'll hang out and then he's like, all right, I gotta go. Put me down. The only time he wants me to pick him up is when we're going on walks, which is just backwards. So okay, so I did want to again highlight our viewers at home. Thank you for joining us. Hello to Zafe. Hello to Dark Caliber, JR Sketcher, Draconius Live, Black Akairo. Oh, they said they're looking forward to pitching for next summer of manga. So glad we have some other creators out here.
Zafe actually is Zafe has already gone through the summer of manga process. And
word.
He had a series, I don't know what it was called, but it was really cool.
Mythcasters.
What? Yeah, Mythcasters. Right?
Yeah.
And then after Mythcasters, he then started a new series that's now part of Saturday AM and actually ran in the spring season this year, called Orsha, which is kind of like an all African African mythology manga that's really popular now within with our audiences. So Zafe is part of the AM thing.
Yeah. Shout outs to Zafe. I've seen the Orisha artwork and a little bit of that content. That it looks astounding. You're incredibly talented. Hello to the rest of you, and thank you for asking all the different questions that you've been tossing our way. Please keep them going. We're definitely here to chat. Let's see here. What was that echo?
I'm like, uh-oh.
Was that you?
No, I heard it too, though.
It's gone now. Let's see. Okay, so before we had our break, we were talking about what the ends of our stories looks like, but instead I want to kind of touch base on the stories themselves. Jay, Ray. Actually, I want to start with Raymond this time. The story that you're telling for Saturday AM. Why that one? What made you pick the story that you're telling now? Were there other ones that were stewing about? What led you to where you are?
I had other stories. I think the very first manga I ever made was called Ox King.
Right.
As a matter of fact, we have it on the website, somewhere on the website. We had this campaign going in, I think, year 1 or 2, called Before They Were Saturday.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so we put a lot of me, White, Andrea. I think it was the 3 of us. We put some of our old content up on the site. So don't go look at it. Don't go. Look at it. Just don't do that. But anyway,
Pretty awesome.
For real, we're doing the opposite of what we're supposed to be doing. Like, don't unpromotion. Yeah.
Like what said they? No,
don't do it. Don't do it.
Our app, no.
Yeah, definitely don't.
Right.
But yeah, I started out. The what got me serious about it was there was a publication called Yen. It's Yen Plus now, but it was called Yen Press. Back then, it was, like the alternate Shonen Jump. It had more. The stories a little more mature and stuff like that. So, but that was actually a publication you can buy from from Barnes and Noble. You can actually pick up the hard copy, and they had a talent search. So, I made my mind up that I was going to enter it and try to submit a story to it. It had I think it was like a max of 20 pages, and that was pretty much the only rule. This 20-page max.
Word.
It gave me that deadline. It gave me that urgency. To turn it from just like an idea to actually making it happen. So I entered with Ox King, and the sad part is at the time I really did think I had a chance. It was kind of crazy, and then I entered at a second time with the first run of Bullet Eater, and with Bullet Eater, what ended up happening, of course, I didn't get selected, obviously, but what I did, I posted it back then. there was a big site called Manga Magazine. Manga
Okay.
Magazine was kind of the place you go to really get your work out there. Matter of fact, that's how I think I knew of White before then, but that's kind of like when we went back and forth before Saturday AM was inside of the Manga Magazine community. So uh,
Yeah.
so I posted it there, and it was just I just posted the one shot that I submitted, and then I got comments that people liked it, and I wanted to, so I decided to just build on it and turn it into a series, and fast forward, that's when I met Frederick. Frederick introduced himself to me. Had this crazy idea of making an anthology magazine, and I was like, well, I always wanted to make one.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And so that's how I started making the comic. As far as the story goes, it follows a character named Asao. He's a young kid that has a zero tolerance for bullying. Unlike most showing protagonists, he doesn't, protect people out of just some, I just want to protect my friends, like, the typical trope. He
Yeah.
actually has a condition that makes him overly empathetic to folks, and he literally can't help himself from standing up for people. I mean, if he saw somebody getting bullied and walked away, he wouldn't even be able to sleep that night, even if he didn't know the person.
Right.
So with that being said, he went to study, becoming a martial. He became a martial artist, and the story picks up on his first day of school at Greater Dragon Institute, which is basically a martial arts school for gifted fighters, gifted martial artists, and all these guys have crazy, insane anime powers, and he's just a regular guy that has to navigate this school while still, he still has that, that urge to protect people that that's weak, even if they're stronger than him. So,
Yeah.
uh, just like I said, like I mentioned earlier before our break, it's just a fun martial arts series. The main thing to take away from just fun, a lot of action, a lot of comedy, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Jay, what about you and picking Hammer? Were there others that you were juggling? Like which one might be the one? And then I'm gonna ask you afterwards, White.
So, um, when I came up with Hammer, it was right after I had finished up my very first publication, Chicken Fight. I
You
had
say
already,
chicken fight?
yeah. So Chicken Fight was the very first story I came up with. It was about this guy who gets his girlfriend pregnant. He's happy, but he doesn't want his baby to grow up in a town filled with giant evil chickens. So he has not much to feed them, and he goes around with knives and forks and he attacks them. It's pretty cool, but
That's what's up.
after I finished up that story, I envisioned that particular story just to be like a one-off,
Yeah.
volume. I always envisioned that as being like just one movie or something like that. Whereas after that, I had an idea to create a shonen series, something that could continuously keep on going, like Naruto or One Piece or whatever the case may be. And
Hmm.
I already had an idea of Hammer. I had already had that idea, so like I just kept on revisiting it. I would work on it. I would change a few things, and then I would go off and do another story. And then like maybe 6 months later, I'd come back to the same story and change some stuff. And I kept on doing that until eventually I was like, you know what? This is the one story that I keep on coming back to. This is the one story that I like a lot. I gotta just see what happens. So I wrote out everything. I was so excited. I mean, I still have notes somewhere inside of my office, and every time I read them, I get like hyped and excited to just draw
Yeah.
the next chapter. And that's it was the most fun story that I could think of at the time. So like I just really wanted to have a story that could make any reader that's reading it also have the same feeling as I had writing it. I
Yeah.
just so that's what Hammer is to me. Just a story just balled up and fun. It has a few lessons in it, like never give up. Obviously, always be yourself. The main character, for example, in the very beginning, like it's called a weirdo for just being himself. And throughout the entire story, he keeps on revisiting this memory, and he eventually just realizes, hey, I'm me. I can only do whatever I'm doing, and he eventually learns to cope. So he starts helping everybody else that's also trying to have the same type of thing. But that's more of like a lesson that's not necessarily like just full front in your face. It's more of like you got to read between lines. So all of that to say is, that's what Hammer is to me. It's just something that I really wanted it to be, really fun. I wanted everybody to have fun reading it,
Hmm.
and I wanted it to be like really shonen and just like, hopefully in several points in the story, you can put your hands up and just scream, yeah, and like
Sweet.
all this. So, but the story is about this kid named Stud. He gets sucked into his father's journal, and he's stuck and he doesn't know how to get out. While he's trying to find a way out, he just fights all the Danes around him, turning any part of his body into a hammer. So usually
Oh,
his
cool.
fist or his arm or leg, stuff like that. So that's what the entire story is about. But yeah, I just wanted it to be really fun.
Word. Why? What about you? Were there other things that you pondered before Apple Black came out?
He's muted.
Oh, yeah,
He
that's right.
muted.
You're muted. You're muted, by the way.
There were my bad. There were other ideas that I had floating in my head. At the time, I was in a very shonen zone, so Apple Black was the appropriate thing, but it was also the most developed thing I had in my head. So I have all these ideas, but like they're just ideas at that point.
Mm.
And with Apple Black, which used to be called Strawberry Black, long story, uh, it, it it was the most developed at the time. But even before that, I was really excited about where I was taking the series. I wanted to do other stuff just to get used to making pages and making comics and getting used to that kind of life to see if if I even liked it. Because I always used to struggle with finishing comics at that time. Like I start like finishing what I start, which I think is really strong for any upcoming guy creator. If you can start what you finish, tell a story from start to finish, and even if it doesn't work out, right, just do it. And I think
Yeah.
you kind of learn some things, maybe discipline, and just you learn from your mistakes, and moving
Yeah.
forward to the next one, you become better. So just like Raymond, in fact, it was probably the same Yen Press contest. I had a comic called Candlejack, and don't read it.
Do not scour our
or,
website looking for it.
or to be fair, you can read it, but you read it and you see because one of the things we did when we put it on the site to show what we're doing before any of this Apple Blacks at the end, any of this stuff. We at least for me, I think I had like commentary at the bottom kind of talking about my gripes with whatever maybe happened in that page or what I don't like now or what I would
Hmm.
change and stuff like that. So I guess it could be educational too. So I did Candlejack, and it was a fun even though I think I made a lot of mistakes in the way in my approach to certain things, it was still a lot of fun. And I always remember it as the comic that really helped me grow. And then I did another comic called Samurai Top Hat, this time with a writer. Did not like the experience with the writer, but I think it was the writer, not writers in general. It was just it wasn't a fun experience. That was bad, but I'm not gonna get into that one. But again, the whole experience was kind of getting. I wanted to do all these things to just get used to working with writers. In this case, I guess it was good that it wasn't a writer that we gelled, right? So that way I know what to look for next time I want to work with somebody else, right? And with Candlejack, it was just helping me get my feet wet. And so then I was at that point I felt like I was ready to start creating Apple Black. Before I made any of these comics, I actually attempted making Strawberry Black at the time, and
Hmm.
it wasn't good at all. Like even old me didn't think it was good, so I kind of scrapped it.
I
And
like the
then
title though. It's really I like it.
yeah, I liked it too, but for narrative reasons, I think Apple was more appropriate for what I was going for. Also, it didn't help being called with the whole bleach, all the bleach.
I wonder the Ichigo. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that didn't help at all. Once I
Yeah.
saw the Japanese translation, I was like, all right,
Yeah. Yeah.
that, that's done. So then I was making Apple Black, and it was great because I was already in a really shonen mood, and that's how that came about. So Apple Black is basically about it takes place in this fantastical world with sorcerers, and I try to do some interesting, different things when compared to other series that have wizardry or magic or stuff like that. Even the ways I depict wands in the series. I think I try to have like a unique approach to it. It's not necessarily completely unique to anime and manga, but just the idea of taking wands and going that extra step where it's not just a little stick that you would see in, say, like a Harry Potter. So, for instance, I have a character whose wand is a pack of cigarettes,
Oh, okay.
Huh?
Yeah.
and he can do all sorts of sorcery with the smoke. There are sorcerers where their wands are yo-yos, boxing gloves, brass knuckles, lens in your glasses, and they are all doing unique things, right? So,
Yeah.
um, Sano eventually gets a wand that's a brush, and that brush is going to do a lot of stuff. Sano has the ability to teleport, and so the brush, maybe any part where he can swipe and anywhere ink touches, he can make those parts teleport away. And there are a lot of cool things I can do with wands. And aside from their magic system itself, I kind of have that developed in a certain way as well. So it's one of the cool things with that you find in shonen manga, especially that's kind of fun to play with and fun to develop and put together. So it follows Sano, who's said to be the savior figure, savior like figure, according to to some prophets. He's supposed to be this Trinity said to dawn the infinite night, and the infinite night is supposed to be this, almost like the long night in Game of Thrones. Another influence of mine.
Mm.
So he's supposed to be that kind of figure, but obviously the prophecy is pretty loose, pretty vague, and I'm gonna
Mhm.
have to kind of twist it, kind of flips it on its head later on. But he's supposed to be that kind of figure, and he's kind of struggling with the burden of being that while also trying to figure out the mystery behind his father's demise. And his father was working on this immense power that is Apple Black, which kind of plays a role in how all the characters have abilities to begin with, right?
Right.
So they all kind of their ancestors were strong, and as the generations go by, that ability, that sorcery, is kind of dying out, and so the Apple Black research is to kind of rejuvenate that, and so a lot of tribes and countries kind of are battling each other secretly to kind of get that information. But now it's kind of like a peaceful time now, but it's all kind of hidden, right? Secretly, everybody kind of still has beef, and
Yeah.
so Sano is kind of coming in to play that role. And in the beginning of the series, he's kind of in isolation because the idea of the Trinity is not something that's fully believed by everybody, and so there you have your doubters, you have people who believe and stuff like that. So there are some religious elements to Apple Black. Also, another reason why Apple was more um, made more sense
Mm. Right.
for certain reasons. So you have Sano at the beginning of the series, who's kind of in isolation. Certain people who believe in it kind of have put him in isolation. Now releasing him out of isolation to kind of join the guild in the country, so that he can graduate from the guild and kind of earn a badge and a cloak and be recognized by the continent as an official sorcerer. You know, with all the duties that come with that. Kind of part of his journey, and all will be kind of explained in the series. But one of the cool things and one of the fun things about Sano is that he's been raised in isolation with just him and his kind of like pet friend Weaver. So he's very socially awkward. And I know we mentioned a little bit about romance. There are certain aspects of the series where he doesn't know how to talk to girls at all. And so with girls, maybe his heart starts beating really fast, and he thinks it's maybe some kind of sorcery that's happening to him, and he doesn't understand why he's mumbling his words and stuff like that. So you have it kind of plays a role into some of the romantic relationships that will happen
Hmm.
in the series. But again, I love twists, so I'm going to do some really really fun stuff with it, where it's not just a throwaway romance where you know it's just there lingering, and at the end of the series, maybe they get married or something. None of that. There are also certain reasons why certain romances take place, and it could end. I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, but I'll just say, all 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 relationships end in tragedy.
Oh, dang.
Wow. Oh, you heard it here
Yeah,
first.
Hey,
Spoiler alert! Everybody dies.
that just applies to the characters. Just applies to the characters in the story, not like all relationships as a whole. Because
No,
like,
no, I take
You're
that back.
right.
All
Every
love
every
We're
relationship,
close.
every relationship ends in tragedy. Prove me wrong.
I think
I just don't. I'm looking forward to. I've only been married for a few years now, and I'm really looking forward to it going as long as it can. So hopefully that tragedy is just like both of us staring at each other in an old folks home.
It's a line I picked from the latest, I guess the latest and only season of Watchmen. If anybody's ever seen Watchmen,
It's a great series.
yeah, great series, comic book, but the TV show is really good. I kind of don't think I can say it now.
Oh no, I mean well, both of them, both the TV show and the comic book.
I can't, with the line I took it from, I can't really say what happens without spoiling things. But I'll just
Don't do that. There were a few questions that popped in. Sarah, I don't know if you caught them, but let me.
A lot.
see
I
here.
guess I wasn't sure if you all were saving some of these types of questions for kind of a wrap segment, but there's a lot of questions about your techniques and about your tips and how to become a mangaka and how to be more involved with Saturday AM. Lots of things like this I was seeing coming around.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We can definitely circle back to those. One of the ones that I saw between here. Ooh, well, that one's a process one from Eruk Bleh. Sorry if I butchered that. But yeah, we'll come back to that one. Actually, we're right about at that spot. So yeah, I'm gonna just loft out some of these. They asked.
I'm sorry, Derek. I forgot. There was someone who asked a very earnest question that everyone wanted answered that might fit in before this. And it was, they wanted to know if you all have ever cried while killing off a character.
There we go.
I have not.
You're like, gladly.
I have not, but I should. But that's just because I'm a sociopath. So
Okay, we're knowing a lot about you right now. All relationships are doomed. No one gets
right. If a relationship, even if you grow old, one person dies, and it's tragic.
That's not tragic.
Right.
Well, okay, it's like cup half full, half empty. If I'm old and I'm like, we're old folks home together, and I look over and she has been laid to rest before I have. I want to be like, well, and then I'll probably simultaneously go. Yeah, at that point you're like, it was.
It at least has a little tragedy in there.
Yeah, I'll have a very melancholic I'll look over. This will be the opening to the anime, and then the rest of the anime is just one big flashback season.
Oh my God.
Where I go, before we got here, and then yeah, there it is.
Honestly, the Fireflies starts out. It's the worst. You know that they've died in the beginning. Go through it all.
Yeah. So,
that's how Firefly starts.
Oh yeah.
It starts off with the guy dying in the train station, and then his ghost and his sister's ghost are walking, and they look at him dying, and then they go off. And
that's how you feel like this is the worst. I'm already prepared, but you are not prepared.
Yeah.
So, and that's by the Josh Whedon people, right?
Oh, that's
It's a
Oh, you said Grave of the Fireflies. Yeah, Firefly is a really great sci-fi series. Grave of the Fireflies.
Yeah.
So you guys are talking about Grave of the Fireflies the whole time?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, Firefly starts like that?
I feel like I'll start watching tomorrow.
You're like, I gotta start that show over. I don't remember that happening.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's funny. That so yeah, be it positive, melancholic, or morbid outlook on how we might reach our end. All of those things get interpreted and for each of our readers to extrapolate or apply their own experiences to, which I think is great. There was another question I saw. Oh, it was again, I can't pronounce Eruk bleh. It's maybe what's happening. Please correct me so I don't do this again. It said, "How long does it take to finish a chapter?" That's
Mm.
what they asked.
Raymond.
Well, I mean, it's changed over the years. Back when I was a single young man, I used to probably knock out uh, probably I could knock out probably 10 pages in maybe like maybe like 2 weeks,
Yeah,
like start to finish. Now that I got kids jumping on my back and the wife want me to do dishes and stuff, it probably take to do those same 10 pages. It probably takes me like a month.
right. Gotta do them chores.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. These aren't going to watch themselves.
They not gonna watch themselves.
No.
Trash bags don't have legs.
Bag, the lawn, all that.
Yep. How about you, Jay?
Kind of depends on the chapter. I'm currently right now trying to switch up some stuff so that way I'm actually faster at doing everything.
Hmm.
But before I made those changes, it would take maybe a month to finish up a full chapter. That would be like maybe 15 to 20 pages. I'm trying to make changes so that way it takes like 2 weeks to create, an entire chapter.
Yeah.
But that involves me waking up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, before I go to work, and then after I get off of work, drawing until like 12, and just constantly, just on the computer doing all that, while also trying to make time to hang out with my wife and my two dogs, and like just have an actual life. I mean, it's difficult to try to like manage everything, but yeah, I would say
Right.
about maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks to finish up one chapter.
Yeah. You gotta like live your story to be able to tell your story a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. White. What about you? How long does it usually a chapter go for you?
It kind of depends. Like it always depends. It depends on the art style. Depends on the chapter itself. Depends on the page, right? Because some pages are more detailed than others. There's some pages where I don't need to draw background. It's just like maybe a character in this blank space. Think of
Hmm.
like the Matrix white space, something like that. It depends, right? But on average, if you can just one page on average would take me again on average start to finish, say like 2 3 hours, and then you kind of do the math regarding how many pages that is for a chapter. Then that's how long it takes working on it, right? Obviously, like Jay said, there's sometimes you have to kind of step away, do X, Y, Z, and then come back to it. But there are times where I'm not necessarily timed myself, but I remember a time where, on average, on a page, like working on it consistently, a page, 2 hours, 3 hours, right? If you're drawing a double spread page where you're drawing a whole city,
Yeah.
it's gonna take much longer. You know what I
That's a
mean?
big one.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I say it. It's just depending on art style. Just for my art style, 2 3 hours a page. If it's a 20 page chapter, do the math.
Yeah. I'm gonna open this one to all of you because Young Wavy has patiently waited on at hopefully asking this question. But they said, any tips on perspective and cliffhangers? And while each of you are talking that, I have my dog who's been staring at me very patiently, so I'm going to temporarily invite them to our conversation. But
Oh,
yeah, tips on cliffhangers and perspective. If any of you want to start that.
Yeah, so I'll go. When it comes to perspective, if you're talking about drawing perspective, that's what I assume anyway. References definitely help. I actually usually try to sketch out in like the most basic of terms. Like, let's say we're doing perspective of like a person like punching. I'll draw like them inside of like just like stick figure, for example, and then you have a cute dog. I'll draw them as like a stick figure, and then I'll like draw another like little thing to just kind of like highlight where the camera would be, so that way I
Yeah.
can like change the camera angle, and then I would go into it and like draw like just like gesture draw. This is what the camera is seeing. Like if I'm at the camera view, this is what the camera is seeing. So I'll draw that as a gesture drawing, and then I'll tighten back up on it, and keep on doing that until like I get it to look the way I want it to look.
Yeah.
Obviously, it takes a lot of practice. Obviously, it takes a lot of time to get to a comfortable position for yourself. But references definitely help. So I would recommend using that. You could also you know uh, with references and stuff, if you're using like a person, for example, there's those wooden dolls You can just look at that and just kind of like angle it yourself. Those are a few things that you can do to help out with that. When it comes to cliffhangers, I would say, have when you create a story, kind of touching back on what Raymond was saying earlier, for Saturday AM, what we're trying to do is every single chapter, we want that to be, entertaining for the reader. So, with that said, when you create a cliffhanger, make that chapter be entertaining, but leave it on, like, I'm gonna use the word cliffhanger. Leave it on some type of stopping point that makes the reader want more. Always leave them wanting more. So
Mhm.
if it's Dragon Ball Z, for example, and Goku's turning Super Saiyan, you don't want to immediately show that fight where he's as Super Saiyan. Like the next chapter was him
Right.
as Super Saiyan after having like 2 pages of him transforming, and then the next chapter was him actually starting to fight Frieza. So I mean, you got to leave it in an interesting enough way to where you feel satisfied for that chapter. You're like, wow, that was really cool. Thank you for drawing this person and creating this entire story. I appreciate this chapter, but at the same time, you want them to be like, I can't wait until the next chapter so I can see how this is going to happen. How this is going to unfold. So it takes practice. It takes just a lot of just constantly keep on doing it. Eventually, you'll learn how it'll work for you, how you can
Yeah.
create your own formula. But that's those are my tips. I'm sure
Yeah.
White and Raymond have more.
No, those are great tips. I'm actually going to give some of you some other questions that we have from our viewers just to make sure we get some time. But this was something that Frederick touched on in our last episode. But for people who are watching today that maybe didn't catch it before, we have a few individuals who have asked mostly, how can they be a part of Saturday AM? Specifically, they said, can I someday be a part of a Saturday AM? And so Frederick outlined, what that takes. Would White or Raymond, would either of you care to outline that for our viewers today?
You want to hit it, White?
Okay. I would say be active with our first be active with our social media and keep track of what's going on, because usually that's when we make certain announcements for opportunities where you can kind of be a part of things. The number one thing that kind of sticks out to me would be, like we mentioned earlier, would be some of manga, and some of you pitch your content, and if we like it, and we see a potential in it, then we'll kind of help you, even editorial assistance in some cases, um, to kind of put that together, and we'll set a time, and just start putting all that together. So you having your pitch on some of manga, and in some cases, if you enter our contest like March Out Madness, where you display your
Yeah.
skill and your level of abilities, we might see potential in your artistic ability, and we'll kind of even in some cases reach out to you and see if you'd be interested in doing comics. And usually people are, right. They're usually using March Art Madness to warm up to some of manga.
Totally.
Uh, so those are ways out there. Um, any other way, there's sometimes where if we see somebody and we want to be proactive, we see they're really good and they're putting stuff together, and we want to be able to help them at an early stage, we might reach out. There's some cases where people do reach out to us. It's rare that we would, outside of a Summer of Manga or a March Art Madness, kind of pull somebody into the fold. Usually, even if we find somebody, we'll kind of still push them towards that time and help them develop their stuff to be primed for that moment, because we want to make Summer of Manga literally that,
Mhm.
Summer of Manga. So those are the two things that come to mind. It's just a rare occasion, very rare, where we'll find somebody or they'll find us and the stars kind of align.
Yeah.
Unless Jay or Ray want to add something else.
Yeah. What I want to add to that too. There's another side as well to where we're actively looking for people all year long. It's not in comics necessarily, but we do have a big demand for volunteers. We're looking for volunteers for various departments of our of Saturday AM. We have a really strong design team, as you can tell if you just the first page you look at Saturday AM 121 shows you how strong the design team is. They're really great. But we're looking for more. We're looking for more people looking to get in the comic industry. and learn skills about designing and creating stationery, all that kind of stuff. Video, we're looking for people who have a talent and interest in creating videos, YouTube or otherwise. Matter of fact, I just had an interview with a young man before this call that we found out, that we talked about some of his. He's really good with motion graphics. So
cool.
these kind of things, obviously, those are, obviously everybody wants to do comics, but there are a lot of other departments that make Saturday, as great as it is. So again, we're looking for graphic design help. We're looking for writers that actually to write articles and things like that. We're looking for video. You want to make videos and
Social media.
social media. Yeah,
Hmm.
social media. If you love social media and and you're good at it, head to our site. We have a section of the site where you can apply for various positions that we're looking for. So in our volunteer program, so that's one way you can join us. That's
You know,
pretty straightforward.
I wanted to jump in here because I've been thinking about this for our whole chat this time and wondering why we hadn't kind of all chatted on this before we started this endeavor. But I wonder if there might be some fun way we can talk after for us all to come together and do one of our fun art contests together. So maybe a Saturday AM Tokyo House Party. Usually we ask everyone to make something and there's a prize which we can figure out. But I feel like since there's all these artists here who want to make things and kind of learn a little bit, this could be a really cool collaboration for the future.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
there's a fourth magazine called Fan Art Friday, and we have that's free inside the in the app, and we have all sorts of contests going on. Even some right now, we have like little contests here and there. So that's outside of March Out Madness, which is like I said, our granddaddy of them all when it
Yep.
comes to contests that we do. But we have other contests in Fan Art Friday, and there's one running right now. I believe it's an Apple Black fan art thing inside the magazine. So we with Fan Art Friday, every issue kind of has like a mini contest going on inside with prizes and kind of keep it fun. It's kind of like a geek cultured magazine where you can talk about almost anything, but as long as it's on brand, and it kind of centers on
Cool.
anime, manga, and art, all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. So that'll be a great fit.
Yeah. As far as Summer of Manga, is that happening now? Is there still time for other people to get involved? When do the floodgates open for that?
I think, uh, and Ray, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the deadline for this year is passed, and so we've already taken in a lot of pitches, and I think this year has been the best year so
Yeah,
far,
no
and,
doubt.
and that's evident with it just started with the latest issue, and so
Hmm.
the first series of Summer of Manga, and the series they're meant to be, at least they're meant to be one shotty piloty type
Yeah.
uh, installments. So every issue this summer of manga would have one or a couple of entries from those who entered this year's summer of manga. So this year starts with Bloodstained Snow, and the next issue would kind of continue that with the next summer of manga entry, and it would just kind of go all the way to till the end of summer, while sprinkling some of our own series. Apple
Yep.
Black actually returns in the latest issue, and so this year I think the deadline has passed, but so is next year.
Cool.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like White said earlier, the best thing to do is just like you said, be active. Just jump on our social medias, jump in the app, take advantage of the free issues and stuff like that we put out in the app. And anything that anything like summer manga or any events that we do, the first place you'll learn about it is inside of Saturday and one of the magazines. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Jay, were
there's
you about to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, usually summer manga, the the deadlines and all that. Obviously they were a little bit before in the year around May or so. We opened up everything, but we start getting entries in, and we start asking for entries around the end of March Madness, which also has an entry period, which is like way before March Madness actually starts. So we're
Mhm.
usually in front. If you want to join Summer Manga or March Madness, then just like Raymond and White said, you just got to be active. Constantly look at our Twitter, Instagram, definitely our magazine, and just keeping the ear out.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I want
think
to add to that.
if
Oh,
you
go
if
ahead.
you if you also reading the magazine and following the magazine and how we operate will also kind of give you a strong insight on what we're looking for
Yeah,
as well. So
Exactly.
yeah. Those are great points. It applies in many different communities. Mine is in indie game development, making video games, and getting into that community is very much following the not only the creators that you admire, but uplifting those individuals as well in those spaces, because it you can't choose to you can't have your desire in being a part of the space just based on self-worth. You have to choose to be a part of the community, uplift the other individuals that are a part of the community,
yeah,
and make meaningful connections. And so if that starts with following, commenting on the videos and talking about, and maybe every now and then it's sharing and participating in these events that they're talking about. That'll absolutely get you into door into any space, without a doubt. Um, so we have like just about 10 minutes left. And before taking any final questions, I wanted to let y'all go around the table to share with us and our viewers at home if there's any special updates that are coming from Saturday AM, anything that's special coming out for the series that you're each working on, and then other general news that you want to shoot out to everyone watching.
with obviously, like I mentioned earlier, we have Saturday Wars coming towards the end of the year. Saturday Wars is sponsored by Clip Studio Paint. Celsius, creators of Clip Studio Paint, we're honored that they're working with us to put that together, and it will have like a host of things within the magazine, reviews, comics, the Infinity War type installment called Saturday Wars with all our core series that will be inside of that, illustrated primarily by Rashad Milhouse, the creator of Outland. That's
Very
inside the
cool.
PM, right? But even as the characters before they kind of gather together in their own worlds, those worlds will be illustrated by us for obvious reasons. Before they all kind of come together, under Rashad and Frederick, and then so Saturday Wars is going to be pretty cool. Again, by sponsored by Clip Studio Paint, and then we're doing uh, Apple Black has Volume 3 coming out soon. Volume 2, 1 and 2 are out already. The third one will be out eventually. Like I said, Summer of Manga is happening right now. So if you're on the app, the latest 3 issues of AM are always free. That will always be on the app. The app is free. Go check that out. Friday, Saturday PM. Brunch, the latest issue, the issue 0. The preview issue is free. There is a Resist issue, kind of like a prologue to Saturday Wars, and give you an
Mhm.
idea of how it's going to be. That's also in the app for free, along with a 5-page installment of Clock Striker by its newest artist, Isaka, a French artist. That's also in the app. So app.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless anybody wants to add more stuff. I'm sure there's more stuff to add. We're busy. We have toys coming out. Like you said, for basically our characters being licensed. So we are.
Yeah. Raymond, you.
Yeah, it's a right point. I mean, we're obviously really busy. A lot of things keep on coming out. Currently, we actually for the next, I think, 6 days, we still have a deal going on with Shinda Ito Apparel, White Manga, and also Dagger Starfighter. They have really cool designs that are on hoodies and t-shirts.
Oh, cool.
And all the proceeds to that go to Black Lives Matter groups. So if you guys want to pick up one and also just support the cause, and that's a good thing. Like you said, we have toys. My retro pack for Hammer, retro pack number 2 should be coming out soon, so that'll be cool. Summer of Manga in general, like for this entire season, we're trying to actually have every single issue come out in bi-weekly. So download the app; it's free, and you can read all of these issues for free when they come out. And yeah, just follow us so that way you guys can stay to date with everything we have coming up, because it's always a lot, it's always changing, and
Yeah.
we just try
What
to
was
make.
that site for the apparel?
So what?
What was that site for the apparel?
It's Shinda Ito Apparel, SHINDO. No, I'm sorry, SHINDA IRO apparel APPARELL .com. And yeah, it's pretty dope. I actually, if you follow me on Twitter, then I should have a link on there somewhere. I'm sure White has the same thing on his, or if you just go Saturday,
Yeah, if you go to you can go directly to the website, but also kind of like link in the Instagram bio has a link where you can go directly to the page that has work by Amber from Dogger Starfire, who does Spirit Pizza for Saturday brunch, and then me. Uh, Also, the characters that were depicted for that were also characters from Apple Black and my other series, Bakasi, which I sometimes forget to mention. That's in Saturday PM, and will kind of make a return, at least to close out the chapter that's been started in Saturday PM. Because a lot of people like it, but it's very difficult to juggle two series at the same time.
I feel that. Raymond, you told me about, and it's been mentioned here a couple times, about a toy that is on the way, and I believe you shared some preliminary designs for that toy with us. Can you? I'm going to switch it over to that for our viewers to see at home. But can you tell us about these two toy designs that are coming soon?
Yeah, we got our first license deal with a toy company called Jabberwocky. They're licensed. They make a toy brand called I believe they're called Blow Up. I think they're called Blow Ups. I can't remember the exact name of them. But yeah, we this is going to be our first licensed toy deal that we got going on. We came a long way from from issue one to
Yeah.
this. So, right now, the first two prototypes are created. We have Sano from Apple Black, obviously, and Asao from my series, Bully Eater. And these toys are really cool. You can't really tell from the picture, but their arms are actually they're on like a on kind of like a rotator cuff where
Oh, cool.
arms can actually move, and they're pretty sweet because like no matter what you do to them, they'll always come back up. So you can actually like move the desk and thump them. And uh,
Yeah,
we were talking last night. We can have some blade action going on. We can pin them and have them fight each other.
I absolutely would love to. How big are they in the picture here?
They're about what 6 inches, I believe.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
They're
they're bigger. If you have like a if this is
about
a Funko Pop, then they're like this.
yeah. They're like
Cool.
2 inches bigger than a Funko Pop.
Oh, cool. That's super fun. Those are really fun, and the artwork on them is very clean. I love when things get to come from the page to real life and look like that.
So
We
before we leave there, I'll just say again, like we keep saying, plug in. Stay. Follow Saturday M because we're actually going to be doing pre-orders of those coming up really soon, and
Very
we'll
cool.
announce those in our we'll announce that in the magazine. On our social media and all that good stuff, so that you guys can get you some, have a Sano versus a Sao, blow up death match.
Yeah, definitely. Now I know our social media handles are here for our viewers at home, but just in case there's other avenues, other spaces, please, and I'll start with White. Where can everybody find you and find more of you?
So that'll be White Manga TV on YouTube. Actually, dropped a video today. There's a White Manga on Instagram, Twitter, every TikTok, everywhere.
That dang TikTok.
You're doing it.
at white at White Manga everywhere. White Manga TV on YouTube, White
Great.
Manga Twitch, everywhere.
Great. How about you, Raymond?
I'm mostly on Instagram. My handle, like you said, the handle's down here, right?
Yeah,
So,
we have our social media handles predominantly, but if there's YouTube or any other spaces.
nah, I didn't really take to the YouTube thing too well, but I have a video on there, but it's not worth watching.
So,
But no, you can find me at I believe I rarely ever look at my own handle, but it's I think it's Ray Brown, whatever it says here. You
yeah,
can find me there on Instagram. I'm also active on Twitter as well. And as far as upcoming things, like Jay mentioned, I actually have the privilege of working behind the scenes on the app, and we have a huge lineup of new content come to the app in our store vault in the app. It's going to have Apple Black Retro Pack 2. We have Hammer Retro Pack 2 coming out. We have Bully Eater, my series that's coming. That's going to have a chapter pack as well. Saigami's coming. JR's property, JR the Bar that you had on the last call with Underground.
Yeah.
He has a chapter pack coming. And also Rashad Milhouse that's drawing Saturday Wars. He has Outland Retro Pack 1 coming. So it's going to be a ton of new content. So definitely download the app. This is the best time to do it because there's new content coming.
Yep.
And also, this is the one time of the year that we're bi-weekly. So you'll be getting hit with new issues pretty much every week. Something's new coming every week, basically.
Great. Jay, what about you?
Yeah, you can follow me at JOden on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I don't really like. I would like to post more on YouTube, but I haven't, unfortunately. So you can check out all my old videos. Eventually, I'll be posting new ones, so you can just subscribe. And I actually do have a TikTok at JOden, but I haven't posted anything there either. When it comes to new things, I'm just, I'm excited for everything that's going on with, Saturday AM, obviously. But my book, Will Only Press, is coming out next year. It's called Lemonade Code. You can actually type that in Google. It should pop up. There's like a, Simon and Schuster, like press release thing. So, you guys can check that out if you want. And also you can, look at my website, joden.com. I have a few things, a few prints for sale there. Chicken Fight, that story I was talking about earlier, is also for sale there. If you guys
I'm really interested in seeing this. Yeah,
it's the first chapter is free, so you can download it. Have some fun. But at J Odin, that's what I go by. I've been going by that for a really long time. So anything that may be buried in the internet, I'm sure you can find under J Odin if you like. Go on a treasure hunt.
Follow the Japanese Arts Foundation on Instagram. Jay Odin is the highlight of our stories many times. So you can you can find him in our stories probably right now, actually. So
definitely. On my end, I did briefly mention that I am also involved in developing indie games. I've been working on a game called Onsen Master for a number of years now, but we're going to be releasing it later this year. And so you can follow more updates about that at the social media handles Waking Oni or Waking Oni Games. And if you stick with those, there's some cool updates that will be I'll be able to share with you very soon for viewers at home. Only other space that I am involved in is Twitch. Most recently sharing not only game development updates, but progress on how I create games. And so for those of you who are interested in getting involved in video games, I'm always sharing things on there Monday nights at 6, as well as playing eclectic PlayStation 2 games like Tenchu, Wrath of Heaven, because I absolutely love playing things. But Ghost of Tsushima came out, so that's been a new thing too. That's been a huge highlight. Anyways, Waking Oni Games on social media, on Twitch, game development, indie games, etc. Sarah, I think we have some very cool things coming up from Japanese Arts Foundation and Tokyo House Party, though. If you'd like to tell us about that. Yeah,
next episode's going to be, again, I feel like we're just delivering every time now. So next episode's going to be no different. How about that? The next episode will be on Saturday, 8/8, which is 2 weeks from today, of course, as it always is. And that is right between the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the commemoration date. And this will be the 75th anniversary of that event in history, of those events. And so for this year, we're doing quite a bit virtually. To share a little bit personally, I work a lot in museums with strong Japanese collections, but in the past, I worked at the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum, so I spent a lot of time there, and it's a pretty dear topic to me. How about? So for the next episode, we're going to have a lot of really interesting guests, including the artist who is featured on this flyer. He does these tintypes to look like different cellular structures and things that are affected by radiation, as well as some characters and some other things. He's an amazing artist. And then we'll also have someone from the Journal of the Atomic Bulletin, or the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientist. That's what it is. And if you don't know about this, they control the Doomsday Clock, which sounds like something from a manga. but it's a real thing, and it's actually in real time being oversaw by people who think about nuclear issues. We'll also be talking to scholars, and we'll be folding an origami city with City Pop, and we're going to install it in a storefront. I mean, we've got a lot of stuff coming up that episode. It's going to be awesome. Don't miss it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Continue to follow all of these creators. Continue to follow Tokyo House Party, and I hope that you can continue seeing everything that's coming out of all of these different channels. A huge thanks to White, Raymond, Jay. Thank you so much for hanging out in this conversation and really just shooting it about manga and why we love the medium. I'm absolutely thankful that you guys were able to make it onto the show today. So thank you to our viewers at home. Thank you for being here, and hopefully we'll see y'all again soon.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks again for having us.
Thank you. Bye, y'all.